Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the audio cast. If you haven't already, I didn't include Finding Truth in the intro, and that's because I'm having a moment where I'm considering changing the name because not everything that I say is the truth, as in comes from the gospel. Some things, well, actually, recently, a lot of the things have been my own opinion, and that's not necessarily what everybody would consider the truth. So, because of that, I'm considering giving the channel a new name. Actually, when I started it, one of the names I had picked was, I believe, One Man, One Voice. And that might sound a little corny, but it really did fit it, as there's only one man and I've only have one voice. So it didn't take a lot of effort for me to get to that point, but definitely considering that, changing the channel name. I probably don't need to announce it. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but I just want it to fit more. I don't want people to come on here thinking, oh, he's speaking the truth in every single episode. Well, truth is, in certain instances, subjective. So I might think that I'm speaking truth, and somebody else might think I'm a liar or I'm not speaking truth. So it's always hard, when you're sharing your own opinion, you can't really say, well, this is the truth. That just doesn't work. So, anyways, just wanted to give an update. But I did want to come on here and talk about a topic that came up yesterday while I was throwing out the other episodes. I see that people are watching or listening to those other episodes, and I appreciate it. I still see I have 2 subscribers. They haven't left yet. Maybe they're the first ones, and they're just along for the ride. In any case, I appreciate it. I appreciate anyone who takes time to listen to any of my episodes. I have one on there on my channel that's for people who want to do better on interviews, and I gave some helpful things so that maybe it increases your chances of doing well on an interview. So if you want to watch that one, you can always go check it out. And yeah, there's a bunch of other ones that have gotten some views as well. And for those people who've listened to it, I appreciate it. I can't imagine how I sound, because when you're on a podcast or audio cast, I think majority of people probably don't like their own voices. It's a weird thing. So, uh, yeah, and then also we have to listen to listen to part of the episode while we edit and, mix, master, do all that stuff. So, yeah, I can't imagine what people think. But in any case, it doesn't matter. But today, I wanted to talk about one thing that's actually super. It's a big topic in today's world. Some people are greatly affected by it, and I'll just say it plainly. It's just I want to talk about racism in America, and one of the more major movements is the Black Lives Matter (BLM) movement, and that has been going on, I believe, since George Floyd, especially. Well, it's probably been going on well before that, but it really picked up during or after George Floyd, after the unfortunate death of George Floyd back in 2020. That movement really picked up, and if you didn't know, there was some speculation, some reports that, this is just a fact, a fun fact, or not fun, but it's just a fact or something that I thought was interesting. There was a documentary that came out that basically said the creators of the movement had cashed in on it. And my thoughts on that are, I mean, I understand that there are a lot of people in the world, in our country, in the US, who really want better for African Americans, um, and I'll use that term because I believe that's the appropriate term to use, because not everybody, um, some terms can rub people the wrong way. If you know, as someone who's white, um, I just feel that African American is the safest term to use. So that is what I'll use moving forward. But I just wanted to point out that there are a lot of other races, there are a lot of other people from different backgrounds who have also felt persecution or experienced persecution and been forced into harsh environments. One example is our Jewish people who were sent to the concentration camps, who were killed, maimed. You know, they most likely they were malnourished and died because of diseases, because they were crammed into these tiny little building or little structures. And then we also have, if some of you didn't know, and I read this in a history book uh, when I was in a community college. It was probably my favorite history book. I'm not big on that type of stuff, but after the Pearl Harbor attack, what happened was because of because Americans were afraid of, well, essentially, I'll just read it because I can't explain it as well. But basically, here's what happened. So, fueled by anti-Japanese fear and suspicion, the U.S. government, through an executive order deemed Executive Order 9066, forcibly relocated over 120,000 Japanese Americans to what were called internment camps. I hope I'm saying that right. Including those who were American citizens. And essentially what happened is they were just yanked out of their homes. So some of them were actual U.S. citizens. They had, if they had immigrated, they went through the process of becoming U.S. citizens. If they were born here, it didn't matter. So they were sent to these camps that were in desolate areas. They weren't considered concentration camps, but they were forcefully detained and relocated just because the higher ups thought that, oh man, we just had Pearl Harbor attack. These people are Japanese descent. We need to get them out of here just to be safe. Well, obviously that would never fly today, but of course, you can't just remove people just because you think that they might, be doing something. That's just ridiculous. Like, just because they're of a certain descent and because, Japan had attacked us doesn't mean that they're enemies of America. Like, they're just trying to live their lives peacefully. Could there have been some individuals who were spying? Yeah, I'm sure there could have been. I mean, we had, other countries sent spies into our country to, gather information, send it back. There was a movie on that called, it had Tom Hanks in it. Russia, I think it was Russia. let's see. I gotta look it up. But my point was not to make the movement, raising awareness on mistreatment of African Americans. That wasn't my point. I just wanted people to kind of think about how there are other individuals of other descent, of other races, who also experienced similar mistreatment, both past and present. But the one movement that continues to be put into the spotlight is the BLM movement. And while I have nothing against raising awareness on, individuals being treated poorly, and how, they should be treated the same as everybody else, I think I don't know why we're stuck on just the mistreatment of African Americans. I'm not going to try and say that I have inside knowledge on why or anything. I don't. I'm not going to pretend that I have the answers and anything like that. I obviously don't. But I do think if we're talking about equality and we're talking about raising awareness on these issues, I think we also have to bring in the other individuals who have faced mistreatment, like the individuals who are of Japanese descent, individuals who are of Jewish descent, who were killed by Hitler and his army, who received extremely poor treatment. And I also heard something, and this is just because I know some people are going to be thinking, if they don't comment, but just thinking, well, if this guy is white and this guy is he obviously doesn't know, not just because he's white, but he just doesn't know. And it's just to get people to think. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted for this episode, was just to get people to think that, yeah, there are other individuals who have faced similar injustice, who have been mistreated just as poorly, or maybe even worse, as other individuals. I'm trying to say this because you kind of have to tippy-toe around, because I know there are people probably giving looks, and again, it's a sensitive topic, so I'm trying to find the right words. But in any case, just something to keep in mind moving forward is to be mindful of that, of the fact that lots of individuals in the past and currently have faced mistreatment. Right now, it's the Jewish people, because of Israel attacking Gaza, because of Israel's responses to the terrorist groups. There is a lot of hate towards them, and it's not because, oh, they're in Israel, it's just because they're Jewish. Well, that doesn't make much sense at all. Actually, it doesn't make any sense. But that's probably another episode, and definitely a hot topic as well. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of point that out a little bit. Maybe it piqued your interest. In either case, I think it's important. I remember. I'll just add one more thing. I do think Morgan Freeman was asked. Um, let's see. I believe he said something along the lines of, just stop talking about it. And I think he was referring to racism. Um, but I do think it still occurs. Obviously, we see it. I think it occurs. There are definitely racist people in the world, and I think there always will be that hate that people develop or that's ingrained in them from a young age. Um, and those people, those are the ones, if anything, should be in concentration camps, because just to treat someone poorly because of their color of their skin just doesn't make sense. If they were like a terrible person, then you you I would understand why you wouldn't like them. But if they're not doing anything wrong, why bother them? Uh, but I will say I think our country is traumatized, and I say that because in trauma or with trauma, there you have not processed it correctly, and what happens is it starts to repeat over and over again like a record, spinning over in your mind continuously, and it ends up that uh, you just can't stop talking about it. And the line between, yes, we're talking enough about injustice in America. We're talking enough about racism in America to where it's it's a good thing. And then we're talking too much. Can that be something that we are doing or could do? I guess you know, that's up for debate. Can are we talking too much about it? Are we talking enough about it? But I do think we are traumatized as a nation just because of what has happened here in our country. And I mean, how you would process through that, I don't think, because that would require everybody to agree and then process through it. Is that possible? Probably not in the way that you typically process through trauma. But it's just an interesting thought, interesting for me to think of. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to pretend like I know everything. Um, I don't want to seem like I'm an expert, uh, or like I know everything that different individuals from different backgrounds have gone through in the past and present, because I don't. I know about ageism. I know about being looked at differently because of your age, but I don't believe that has anything close to what people experienced in the concentration camps, uh, run by the Nazis, by individuals who are African American. Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Anyways, I hope that maybe you learned something, maybe something piqued your interest, maybe you have a comment. Those are always welcome. Just keep them civil. No sexual inappropriate sexual comments, those will be removed. Just be mindful of what you say. I think it's important to, be sensitive to a certain extent, because, you're sitting behind a computer screen, typing on a keyboard. You're not in that person's presence. You're not seeing how they react physically to what you say. I mean, I'm not trying to be the innocent guy here. I think we're all guilty of saying something in the comment section, and feeling like, not thinking much about it. But it's different when you're in that person's presence and you're saying it. And I just say that for, the hot shots who think that they can roast and say mean things to people. Would you say that to them in person? I don't know. But in any case, I'll leave it there. And yeah, take care.